Hello everybody, Deathreavers here, and welcome to some ScapeCon 4 gameplay. We start off with Doc versus Veggie in the three-headed Hydra final, which is the team tournament. We start off a little into this game as there were some technical difficulties getting the stream set up, but I'll send it over to Big Bullfrog, who was commentating throughout ScapeCon 4.
Hello friends and welcome to ScapeCon. We're checking out some games here. We've got our final round of the three-headed Hydra going down. We're going to see how this works. And also, I apologize if I'm a little bit distracted at times because I am also double-checking things for the stream, hoping that it all looks okay and that it's working out. But yes, so here on stream right now, we've got Doc versus Vegetarian. Their teams are both 3-0 right now, and they are playing in the finals. So, let me see if I can get us some details, some specifics. I'm sure you can see we've got Q9 and Deathreavers. And surprise, surprise, that it's going to be Doc playing those. So, full army going to be... Hang on, again, just making sure I've got the right details here. Deathreavers, 3 squads of Deathreavers, Isamu and Major Q9 for Doc. And then for Vegetarian 18, we've got a Fen Hydra and 4 squads of Phantom Knights. So a pretty fun matchup going down here. And we'll see how it plays out. I'm also not totally sure how to see how many people we've got in chat. I know I just put a link on Discord, so we'll see how many people join up. But if you're giving it a listen and you've got a comment on the quality, especially on how much the background noise is coming through, I'd be happy to hear that. All right, but let's get a look at this sports day right now. All right, so looks like we've got a forward Q9. This is on Alta. Q9's up on level 3 right now, over there on that left side. Doc's gone for a little bit more of an aggressive strategy here, and air quotes aggressive, which makes sense, right? Phantom Knights, they can engage Q9 pretty well. Your Deathreaver screen doesn't matter as much against him, and so it makes sense for you to go ahead and just forego the screen and do what damage you can with that special attack there. Come on. That works. Alright, looking at that dice cam, it looks like we're probably going to need to... So part of this is also experimental, so we're also looking for areas of quality to improve. Looks like one of those is the dice cam there. We're going to have to either work with some angles there so we can see the dice trays better, dice rolls better. Maybe we'll see if we can make that a little bit larger. But anyway... It's also kind of hard to see the Phantom Knights on this map, but that's just with the grass. They're in some weird spots. Alright, so we've got a new round starting up, and this is a good jumping in point. So, new round, we've got Veggie taking initiative. He's got a few Phantom Knights engaged with Q9 and is trying to put some wounds on Q9 here. Looks like none of those attacks going through. Doc reveals order marker on Q9, who's probably just going to return fire here. Taking out one Phantom Knight. And just one Phantom Knight with that series of attacks. Kind of seems like it's a little bit of a dice off here. And we did miss, so like that development part of the game, with Q9 moving up, Phantom Knights moving up. But looking at that strategy, which I kind of mentioned, but we can go a little bit deeper with now. So you've kind of got a couple components to each army, right? You've got Deathreavers, who are screening for Q9. And then Q9, who's obviously your main hero there. Looks like Doc did take some moves with Deathreavers, which, so if you're looking at Veggie's army, you've got the Phantom Knights. They can ignore the Deathreavers, just go straight at Q9. They've got lower attack power, so you're probably not as worried about them attacking Q9, right? Like, you don't want to just give attacks to them, but if some attacks are getting through, that's totally fine. The bigger part is the Hydra, where if the Hydra could get next to Q9, that would be huge to be able to get in there, make 4 attacks at 4. That's where you're going to have a really good chance of doing some damage against Q9. However, those Deathreavers are perfect for the Hydra. So you've got kind of that duality there, because the Hydra hates rats, but would love to gobble up Q9. The Phantom Knights can ignore rats, but they're not going to be doing as well against Q9. So what are we looking at here? How is this going to pan out as far as those rolls go? And it looks like Veggie's opting to go for just running at Q9, trying to get swings in, getting as many swings in as possible, which I would say is, it's a good strategy, right? Part of fighting Q9 is you just need to make those attacks. If you're not making those attacks, then nothing will ever happen. And if you can get some good strikes in with Phantom Knights and take out Q9, then Hydra can also eat up rats. Like, Hydra doesn't like rats if Q9's around, but once Q9's gone, Hydra can just gobble up rats and have a happy, happy day. So it's kind of a race to see if Veggie can put wounds in on Q9 before Q9 takes out the Phantom Knights. And you've also got here, so if we're looking at what Doc's doing now, he's adjusting his strategy, and he's really filling in those extra spots around Q9 with Deathreavers, which, if he can take up those spots with Deathreavers, limit access that the Phantom Knights have, then the Phantom Knights have to start killing Deathreavers, and that's hard for them, while Q9's also shooting at them, right? So you've got kind of that snowball advantage there. And let's see, looks like I missed some rolls. Looks like Q9 has taken some wounds. So Veggie really wants to be able to get that last wound in on Q9. And unfortunately, again, with the angle of the camera here, we can't quite see if Q9 has been totally surrounded by Deathreavers. I'm trying to tell by Veggie's moves if he might have an opening there. Can't quite tell there, but if he's able to get in, get a swing in, get that last wound in, awesome. You've got a good spot, Veggie. So there was an attack against Q9. That one didn't go through. Now he's attacking some Deathreavers because he doesn't. So it looks like he was only able to get one next to Q9. And now he's being forced to attack rats, which again plays into Doc's strategy, because if his rats are being attacked, he gets to move rats more. He gets to, looks like he's throwing up one to get in the way of the Hydra, which is great. Block off the Hydra, keep that thing from coming in. Very good. Another attack against a Deathreaver, which did not quite go through. And so Doc scatters a Deathreaver up next to Hydra, and it's just looking for his next spot. So, yeah, it looks like in that race, as long as Veggie's still able to get in attacks on Q9, the game really, the game is definitely contested, and it will be contested up until that point. But if Doc can totally wall off Q9, which may or may not be possible, right? He'd probably have to get a pretty good initiative switch at least, kill the knight next to him, which it looks like he just did, and then be able to win initiative, fill in that spot with the Deathreaver, and then be good. And that's also assuming it's around an initiative time when that can happen, which this is not. So he might not be able to fully wall off Q9, but he's got things pretty good. He's forcing Veggie to take less than ideal attacks against the Deathreavers, and he's got a Q9 that, even though Q9 only has 1 life left, he's fine, right? Like a 1 life Q9 is still doing everything that a full health Q9 can do, except for disengage, I guess. But he's still doing all those things. And there goes Q9. So right where it was looking dicey, for Veggie there, he was able to get that last attack in, get the kill on Q9, and now he's got a pretty good spot. So if I'm looking at let's see. Looks like Veggie has lost in taking out Q9. Is that 5 Phantom Knights that he's lost, I believe? Looks like he's got 5 Phantom Knives off the board over to the side. And I'm just double checking how many. So he's got 4 squads of Phantom Knights. So that would mean that he's got 5 remaining on the board. So 5 Phantom Knights on the board versus, I don't know, at least a couple squads of Deathreavers. Also has the Hydra. Things are looking pretty good for Veggie here at this point, you would say. Like this is at this point, this is Veggie's game to lose. He's got a full life Hydra. He's just fighting Deathreavers. You've also got Isamu on the board. Isamu can do Isamu things. But it's, odds are definitely in Veggie's favor at this point. Which is great, because, his play's paying off. Sorry about that. Making the swings that mattered against Q9 and getting that race. Winning that race that we were talking about earlier. So it looks like they are resetting order markers here. Doc, of course, going all in on Deathreavers. Might see one on Isamu. And looks like Veggie is all in on Phantom Knights, I believe. So let's see what they're doing there. While they're messing around with that, I'm actually going to see if I can listen back to the stream a little bit by whipping out some earbuds. Let's see. And testing. Oh, perfect. This actually does not sound too bad. Except I hate my voice like usual. Okay, we're going to have to pause that because I can't work with that delay. Alright, but I'm glad. I was just worried seeing the volume levels. I was worried that it wasn't going to be sounding super great. But looks like it's doing all right. Alright, and so now going back to the game, let's see. So Doc's looking at the Phantom Knights that have moved so that he can deny an attack. Veggie did send a Phantom Knight to go attack Isamu and killed him. So, that's a dead Isamu. Things just kind of falling apart here for Doc, I would say, where he's only got... you can't quite see exact numbers here, but we've got, I'd say, probably about a squad and a half of Deathreavers remaining, and you've still got, 5 Phantom Knights on the board, a full life Hydra that hasn't been touched. Doc's going to have to just get some pretty good rolls in order to come back into the game. But, it can happen. I mean, people talk about Isamu comebacks. I have seen a lot of Deathreaver comebacks too, where you've got 4 figures and you're only rolling 1 attack at a time, but you do that enough times, that'll get through stuff, and that 4 defense can last through things. So I wouldn't say it's super likely, especially with a Hydra with 6 defense on the board, but it is possible, and especially like if he can get hits on Hydra, which you'll see he's engaged Hydra, he's made an attack against Hydra. If you can get a take off one of the Hydra heads. Boom, that's a good swing for his favor. Every time he kills a Death Knight, that's great too. And Doc knows his scatter game, and so you'll see here he's even while you're going, you're just, or I guess even as you're playing through, you focus on, okay, where can I deny attacks? Which attacks do I want to deny? Okay, Doc loses another Deathreaver there. And scatters up to engage some more Phantom Knights. Alright, last order marker of the round for Doc. And yeah, just looking to engage Phantom Knights, get some attacks on Phantom Knights. Try to take some out. Looks like he blinked a few times there, and then, yeah, none of those attacks going through. Alright, Doc loses another Deathreaver. He's now scattering again, denying attacks, as you do. You'll also notice another cool thing to notice with what Veggie is doing is he's not moving Phantom Knights. So when you move a figure, you're activating it for the turn, right? If you don't move your melee figures, or figures generally, I guess, but if you don't move your figures, especially when you're fighting Deathreavers with melee figures, if you've already got some guys engaged, that means that you can choose who to use later. So if you were to move 3 guys, those are definitely the 3 guys that you're using, and Doc can scatter twice after the first attack to deny the other 2 attacks. But if you don't move, then Doc is limited on who he can scatter to deny attacks, because he could disengage from 2 Phantom Knights, but you might have another one that's engaged still, and you can make that attack because you didn't activate it during the movement period. So that's a good thing to look out for. That's a good move from Veggie. As we continue through this battle of power and nibbles and stuff. Alright, looks like Doc's getting ready for another round of attacks with his Deathreavers. He's going to see if he can bite off any tails or phantom toes or what have you. I'm really waiting for one of these attacks to go through. Usually I see one by now, but it seems like I don't know that Doc has taken out anybody in the last little bit. Veggie retaliating with a Phantom Knight attack. Misses the attack, and Doc is scattering. Again, choosing which attacks he wants to deny. Was that? Running the stream over here. Yeah, attack's just not going through. So let's see, looking at part of the problem of commentating a game with Doc playing Deathreavers in the end game when he's good at scattering is that not much happens super quickly. I mean, he's doing the work. He's scattering away when he needs to. He's choosing his attacks, all that good stuff. which really just unfortunately kind of slows down the game. So I'm trying to think of ways to like make this exciting. All right, so we've got Veggie moving Death Knight or Phantom Knights into this position, rolling in the wrong part of the board where we don't want him to roll. We're gonna have to make some signs. Again, this is a test stream, so we'll see what all is working well. Already making a couple notes. Definitely need the army cards to be on the other side of the board as well so that we can see those better. We'll have to see if we can zoom in at all. We might be able to do that, but I don't want to mess with any cropping things right now. And meanwhile, we've still got a lot of attacks being thrown and not a lot of hits being taken. Man, like, I want to root for these Deathreavers, I really do. But I need to see something happen from them. Come on, Deathreavers. Okay, there's another Deathreaver gone. But, okay, alright, this is the chance. We're going to get 4 kills from Deathreavers. It's going to be beautiful. Okay, we're going to see 2 kills. We're going to get 2 Boom! Deathreaver kill. Got him. And it looks like Doc is calling the game there. He's going to go ahead and call it. Shaking hands. Understandable. It was a tough game for him once he lost Q9 there. Again, good plays from Veggie, rushing Q9, getting in attacks. Again, you just need to throw as many attacks as you can against Q9 because 7 defense is tough, but you will break through eventually. All right, and while we're doing that, let's see. Hey guys, we're back. I got Doc over here. We're going to be talking about the game that we just watched. So let's take a quick... Let me actually get rid of those letters real quick. Okay, there we go. You had some thoughts. We're going to hear what you've got to say about it.
So the big thing that Tanner and I were discussing after the game was my decision to move Q9 up on the third order marker of the first round, where I put him on level 3. I had taken the move glyph so that I could make that move, and I already had a rat next to him. So basically what that meant is that I was conceding attacks of 3v8 up at Q9. Now, the reason I did that is that I felt if I could weather about 4 to 5 turns of those attacks without taking a ton of wounds, I would be able to mix in a Deathreaver order marker and pack Q9 in enough rats that where he would be restricted to hopefully 0, but usually it's going to be 1 or 2 attacks a turn up.
Which you almost had, right?
I actually did. No, I did actually make that happen. The problem is I took 3 wounds before I did it.
Right. Yeah.
So it's and we had a discussion of is that worth it versus just the other thing I can do is I could just put Q9 at the front of my start zone, put rats around Q9, and just shoot from there, and basically just say like board position doesn't matter. The issue there is I felt if I did that Tanner's probably going to be super patient. He's probably going to move his whole army up. He's going to move the Hydra to the middle of the board, and I'm going to be in this spot where I have to make this, like I'm going to be attacking 3v5s at the PKs a lot, and I felt like if I could get in that position, I thought it was worth the risk, because if I get there, then I'm getting in a position where now he's trying to ferry troops up, and it's tricky, and if he loses out on his PKs, like I probably get to tie the Fen Hydra down in the start zone because I'll still have most of my rats. And basically the Fen Hydra, that's actually the biggest argument in my mind, is that the Fen Hydra becomes, if I win the Q9 versus PK matchup and I have the middle of the board when that happens, the Fen Hydra has almost 0 chance of beating me, because I can put like 5 rats or 6. I'll spend 2 order markers just completely cover him in rats, because he's not going to even attack rats if he can get attacks up on Q9. So basically like I'll have almost all my rats on the end. So if I can just survive it, then like I can basically take the Hydra out and basically just ping it with attacks of 5 until it loses some heads, or go 3v6s if I want. But,
right, and just break through it like that. Yeah.
But I mean, obviously it didn't work out because I took 3 wounds super fast.
And that's kind of like, so I jumped in right about the time that you started taking those wounds. So it didn't look as great from like,
Right.
I jump in and like, oh, this isn't working out super well. But it did kind of feel like you chose to kind of like make it a race, I guess.
Right.
Like who can get those in faster.
I decided I didn't. I mean, like there was a totally viable strategy there to just sit in the start zone, and like Tanner thought that's what I was going to do, and it.
Right, and I kind of saw that, I think, from his development as well. Like I think it did throw off his development.
Right. I think it surprised him, and he thought, and his initial thought was that he thought I should have done that I should have just sat in the start zone. He was playing against the strategy he expected me to make. That's what you do.
Yeah, right? Yeah, and shaking things up can even be a good swing too. So,
but the good news is my teammates both won.
There you go.
So,
at the end of the day, it's better to have good teammates. And
yeah, and he's well, there may be a finals. We'll find out. Depends on the result of this one game that everybody's watching right now.
Oh, does it?
Yeah. So right now, Chris Perkins is he's the captain of the team, the other 3-0 team, the one that we didn't play against. But they're playing the team of Infected Sloth. So Infected Sloth and Chris Perkins are playing who are 2-1. But if Infected Sloth wins, then we're the only 4-0s.
Oh, nice.
So we'll find out. I'm going to go watch the game.
All right.
But I appreciate the conversation.